Welcome to the Hacking Your Health podcast with Ben Canning and Dave Kennedy. Two guys heading out to hack body, mind, business, and beyond. We are here to provide a single source, bullshit-free guide to understanding your body and how you can live better for longer.
Yo, just a quick note before we get into this week's episode. From the start of April, I will be launching Not Another newsletter. This will be a weekly email that will go out with client submissions of YouTube videos, shorts, articles, studies, things that they found beneficial that they feel like the rest of the wider We Hack Health community will benefit from. There's a link in the show notes to subscribe, and I hope to see you on the other side. That's awesome. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. I am Ben Canning.
And I'm Dave Kennedy.
And this is Hacking Your Health podcast. We're wearing matching green t-shirts today. Nice.
We are looking good. I got to get some more Noble shirts. Although I've been really pissed off with their site lately because literally every shoe, obviously in size 15, which is ridiculous. Every t-shirt is like all sold out. So like I can't get any of like my normal gear that I refresh through. So like I'm using stuff that has like rips in it now, and like my shoes are falling apart, and I'm just like, I'm waiting for their stock to come back again. I'm like, I gotta like notify me and all this other stuff. So, but I will hopefully have some more new Noble shirts here soon.
Okay, good. I mean, the last time, where was I? In London, the store. I sent you a picture of the store, like this huge Noble store, and then above it was a huge Under Armour store. So maybe I'll go back and I'll get myself some. Anyway, what's going on, dude? Who did you beat in Orange Theory this week?
So interesting enough, I've been going to that other Orange Theory lately, and not because I'm looking to switch, but because my wife has finally talked me into tanning. So if you notice, I'm a little bit tan today. I actually have not burned that bad, surprisingly.
For anybody who is listening and not watching, it's worth stopping and going onto YouTube and watching. Dave is definitely tan today.
It's funny because so last year we went to go to Grand Cayman, and this year we're going to St. Thomas, and we like to do a vacation each year that we can take the whole family to and everything else. And last year I got completely burned before I even went on vacation, so it was not a good thing. But I've been very cautious this time. However, when you see the check-in photos today, you will definitely notice my back is completely burned.
Okay. But I mean, overall, like the face looks tan, so we're definitely in a good spot. And we're definitely in a much better spot than we were before you went away last year.
Yeah. So last year was not good. I remember getting to Grand Cayman and feeling the sun, and it just burned my whole body. I'm like, oh, this sucks. And that was just miserable the whole time. And then, but what was, the year before we had gone to another place. I think it was Grand Cayman again. We had gone to Grand Cayman a few times. But the first day I went out, I got so burned that I was like just a red lobster the entire time. So I had to get those like, special shirts that have like UV protection in it and everything. It's like the sun and I are not friends in any way, shape, or form. I love vitamin D, but it's one of those things where like you really don't ever want to go in the sun for a long period of time with my type of skin. So, no. I'm not as bad as like Justin on my team. He's a redhead, and he is as white as it gets. But like I'm a close second to that. So.
Well, hopefully you have a better relationship with the sun on vacation this time around.
I've been really careful. Like, it's funny because like the people in front of me, the tanning salon, Aaron and I go together right after Orange Theory because it's like right next door. And the lady in front of me be like, oh yeah, I'm going for 20 minutes or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm going for 3. That'd be good. So that's as far as I go. I'm not pushing it. I'm like, 3 minutes is good enough for me. 3 minutes, so. And there's like,
is it even worth the effort of
there's like 3 settings. There's like mild, medium, and like intense. And I'm like, mild, please. 3 minutes. That's it. But you can notice I'm a little bit more tan, so it's working.
You definitely
it just takes me a little bit longer to get there, right? So,
yeah. It's not something that you should rush.
Yeah. I will tell you though, today's Orange Theory rocked me. It was so there's they have what's called ESP, so endurance, strength, and what's the P? Power. Sorry. So I really love power days because it's usually really fast, explosive energy for short periods of time. And I love doing this because so like we have what they're called all outs, where you're going as as fast as you can possibly go for short periods of time. So today was like 10 all outs, with some pushes and things like that in between, medium based pace. And then it was a 1,000-meter row, but it was all broken out. So like it eventually ended up being about 2,000-meter row and then a circuit. And man, I got out of that workout and I was wrecked. Like it ruined my whole life and soul. It just, totally hurt everything about me. So I'm still recovering. I actually have a packet of goldfish here just to get some carbs in because I was like shaking because my whole body is just like depleted of everything that it had in it. It's just like, what did you do to me today? So it was a good day though. Had a good time.
It was awful and I hated it. My body hates me, but it was good fun and I'll do it again tomorrow. That sort of thing.
That's right. Yeah. Let's go tomorrow. Let's go.
Okay, good. But I mean, aside from that, how's the rest of your training that's not Orange Theory related?
The training's been really good. Actually, I've been feeling extremely strong, maintaining leanness, which has been great. So, we've been on a slight surplus, but nothing crazy. And I'm ready for the beach. I feel like check-in photos have been really good, really cut up, and strength has been there. I think it's like a really good balance. Like the 3,000 calories a week for me has been, or 3,000 calories a day. Sorry, not a week. Is a really good balance of energy, consistency, and not kind of pushing the realm to bulk. Just throwing calories at calories. So training's been going really good. In fact, I picked up a pec deck. So I've been really happy about that. And what's been really cool is my kids now are really, really, really into training. And so my son, Gavin, it's funny because you can see the shift in his mindset when he's lifting. Like the first time he went and lifted, he was so frustrated because his buddy Colin, who, hit puberty prior to him, so has a little bit more muscle mass and also has done weight training before, was beating him basically on every movement. I said, listen, Gavin, when you first started basketball, you didn't make the basketball team because you didn't practice. And then guess what happened when you started practicing? Well, I made the basketball team. I'm like, yeah, that's life. I'm like, you don't just get, $1 million job or a 500K job or a 100K job or a 50K job, by not working or putting the effort in. You're not going to get this. My one son, Mason, is always like scheming. He's like, oh, if I buy this bottle of Prime, I can sell it for, twice the amount and I can make $5 in this. And he's always trying to like do the quick things versus I'm like, Mason, you realize that if you had done the dishes like you're supposed to, you get $20 a week and you would have already had enough to build your own PC by now. He's like, yeah, but I'm just going to scheme this Prime and do this and that. So,
He's hustling.
He's hustling. He's a hustler. Whereas Gavin, you can kind of coax him into like, okay, hey, I have to put the work in to get it done. And, it's cool because we're on like week 4 now. And Mason came down last week and he went to go lift this and I murdered that kid. He was just wrecked. Obviously I shouldn't say it like that, but he was wrecked. Like I just, he was squatting, I'm like, one more. And he does it. I'm like, one more. And he's like, I can't do it. I'm like, yeah, you do it. He's like, so he does it. I'm like, one more. And and it's, so for like 4 days afterwards, he had BJJ on Saturday. And he's like, he's telling the BJJ instructor, he's like, listen, I can't walk. So whatever we do, I'm not walking. It's just not going to happen. I just can't, my legs are not working. I'm sorry. He was wrecked, but Gavin is increasing in strength. And it's funny because, he was like, Dad, I can already tell, like I'm getting stronger and I can already see like a muscle here. I'm like, okay, buddy, that's cool. As long as you think you can see a muscle in 4 weeks, that's fine. Like I'm totally fine with that. But, it's cool to see, it's interesting to see that mind switch, right? Of what it actually takes to get yourself into a mode to push yourself further. Because, Gavin would do like, a squat and he'd do it like really easy. I'm like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I'm like, yeah, well, now you're putting 25 more pounds on each side.
That is the wrong thing to say.
Yeah. And then he'd be like, I can't do that. I'm like, no, you're gonna do it. I'll be right here with you. Feel the weight, see how it goes. We'll continuously increase as we go along and get comfortable with the weight. And, now he's pushing himself to where, he's like, oh, I got 1 more. I'm like, yeah, you got 4 more. It's like, okay, I got 4 more, and so, it's cool to see the mind switch, right? Of what it actually takes to kind of push yourself to a new level, to get yourself improved and to not just go through the cycles of a movement. And that's been cool to see. But I got a bunch of new equipment coming. So I got a new leg extension I'm picking up today, which I don't know why I need another leg extension, but it's for $300. It's a Cybex. I found it for $300. It's like literally down the road. I have to just get a U-Haul for $50 and pick it up. And it's just like $300 for a Cybex. I'm like, okay,
yeah, all day long.
That's all day long. And it's in great shape. And
I mean, I don't even have a gym at my house, but if I saw a deal, like I would have a leg extension in my office here right beside me.
Yeah, same. I'm just gonna put it in my office. Like that's just I'm gonna do 7,000 reps a day.
You can imagine people having a meeting in your office at Trusted Sector.
Yeah, as we're meeting. So let's go over the P&L markers. And I'm just like, bloop, bloop, But next year. I also order a full set of from 5 to 100 of the urethane dumbbells. And reason for that is I got the Nuobells, but you can't drop those. And my kids, I remember I had the Bowflex ones, and I had explained to Gavin he was doing dumbbell swings, and I'm like, listen, Gavin, whatever you do not drop this because it's going to break. Like, do not drop it. First set he does it, he drops it and it breaks. And I'm like, see, that's what I told you. I'm so sorry. I know you told me that, but I just lost the grip. I'm like, all right. So then I got these Nuobells, and he was using them the other day, and he's like, he just drops them, and they didn't break. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I need a dumbbell set here. So I actually got 5 through 100 of I think they're the urethane, really nice, Rogue dumbbells. So I'm gonna get a set there and kind of move them over, and then keep the Nuobells on the side. But then I, of course, got to get the 100 to 150 eventually. But I do have 100 to 125 in the big hexagon ones. So I'll just keep those for now. But I'm excited to get the new gear for sure.
Well, I would say that, like, welcome to my job. Do you mean, like you're saying about the feeling of seeing people's mind shift and seeing like what it takes to actually do the work, and like that is what I have done as my job for the past however many years it's been. So it's good, I guess, for you to have a bit of an insight as to what it's like being on my side of that.
Yeah. It's cool being a trainer. Like, I'm actually going to quit cybersecurity and being the CEO of a company, and 2 companies, and go be a trainer. Honestly,
I'd just do it part time. Like, you have the time.
Yeah, I have the time. Why not? I'm just gonna. Well, I do want to open up a gym someday, so maybe I'll just become a personal trainer for fun to help people, and I won't charge anything. Just do it for free.
Just the guy. You're just the guy there giving the advice. Like, you're just actually there training for 8 hours a day.
Well, it's funny in business. We always talk about hacking your health, hacking your mind, hacking your life, and business is a part of that, right? Your career progression, everything else. And it's funny because I'm one extreme and Aaron is another extreme. So I'm the type of guy that would just give away everything for free because I want to help people. And Aaron's like, well, that's great, but we have a family and college and mortgages and things like that. So you actually have to make money. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so how do I do that? Because I would just give this away for free. She's like, okay, well, so having a balance is a good thing in those situations, for extremes that you have as far as personalities and your traits. So yeah.
Good.
How are you doing?
I'm actually doing really good. So I'm trying to I guess the best way I can describe it is get ahead this week. So next week I'm traveling. I mean, I don't know what week we're going to release this on or where in the world either of us will be, but next week I'm traveling. It's a Jocko event, and actually, I meant to text you about this last night, but I thought we could talk about it today. So I got an email from them yesterday, and they have an event app, and I was like, I'm all over this, everything detailed, when it's going to be, obviously notifications if anything changes and whatever else. And they have I guess it was almost like the Nashville edit after movie that Rand did for us, but just their version. And I'm really fucking excited. I know it was going to be Jocko, and I knew it was going to be a leadership event, but I really didn't know what to expect. So sort of seeing that and sort of seeing what way the couple of days is going to be. And I was laughing with Matt, and I spoke actually about this before. There's a lot of things that I feel like I hold myself back on. So in situations where it's big groups or where it's conferences or whatever it is, I always sort of just keep myself to myself. And I often wonder how much of that is limiting me to my full experience. So I was talking back and forward to Matt, and he's the same. And he was like, we'll just go all in. We'll be the fucking chatty guys. We're going to make new friends. We're going to talk to people. We'll just do everything. And I'm like, right, okay. And then we got the itinerary through, and it's 4:30 a.m. PT. And I text him saying, we're going all in, aren't we? And he said, yeah, man. Even on the PT, it's we can't decide the bits that we're going to go all in. We have to do it all. So 4:30 a.m. PT. both days. They also have an introduction to BJJ, which I think will be good, and then obviously different
Cool.
different talks and stuff like that. But I'll actually send you the link and you can have a look at the video. But the way that they set it up, it makes me want to run an event on that scale. It just looks like a cool process and cool thing to do. So I have that coming up, and then obviously we have the Colorado event. So I've been putting bits and pieces of that together. I had a call with Rich, the designer, to get the swag together and do all those other bits and pieces. So a couple of like out of the norm plates spinning on top of coaching and whatever else. But yeah, everything's good. Training's good. I feel heavy and full and strong. I'm excited. Every time I'm in the gym, I'm like, right, I've got 8 weeks and then I'm going to have to train with Dave. So what can we do here? Like, you're giving me those additional reps. Like, you're my external motivation at the minute. But yeah, generally, yeah, well,
bring it.
Fine, I'm ready for it. I just got this $300 Cybex leg extension in my office. You're
using it right now.
Yeah. But no, generally things are good. Clients are good. I've had a couple of catch-up calls. Like, no, everything's good. The email, I guess we should talk about that. The Not Another newsletter is going to start at some point in April. So for anybody who has been paying attention, the link to sign up to the email list will be in the show notes. Essentially what it's going to be is I put a list of all the names of clients into ChatGPT, and I was like, can you pair these off in a random order with no duplicates? So everybody has been paired off perfectly by ChatGPT, and everybody has a week that they have to submit things. So every week, 2 clients are going to submit a YouTube video, a podcast, a study, a recipe, or something that they found beneficial. So for me, that's a way of the team and the clients and everybody that I work with giving back to the wider community, which I think is going to be a new dynamic or a new level of giving back in terms of information, rather than it just be me and you always giving the information. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really excited about the community input part of it, sharing different experiences and journeys. I think what you find on this is obviously not everybody is the same in lifestyle, behavior, body types, everything else. And, your journeys. And I think, just sharing in other people's successes and what has worked for them is different than, everybody else. Right. You and I were talking earlier today about getting a person on around mindset and how you almost have to, find a new calling, kind of like a reborn of yourself. You see this in like spirituality and religion a lot of times, right? Where you kind of have like a born again type of thing you've seen in like, Christianity and all these other things where it's kind of like an epiphany, in Alcoholics Anonymous, in AA meetings, you kind of almost have this spiritual type of effect as well, and how our minds kind of reset. Conversely enough, there's actually a lot of studies right now on like psilocybin and psychedelics, how they kind of had that same type of triggering effect, especially for PTSD, where if you're suffering from PTSD, it's looking like, like dropping acid is probably one of the best things you could possibly do for you. Not acid specifically, but
Dave and I are not recommending, just to clarify, we are not doctors or scientists, nor are we recommending taking any sort of drugs.
Right. But what they've shown in the studies is that, folks that have those kind of out of body experiences through hallucinogenics have long-term resonating impact on PTSD, i.e. eliminating or greatly subsiding the issues. I mean, very bad cases of PTSD in wartime situations, multiple suicide attempts, those types of folks that, really struggle in life and have almost had, near cures with that type of stuff. So, it's interesting when you look at that and you compare it to like how your fitness journey is. And I guess, obviously those are different extremes, but, you look at healthy lifestyles, regardless if you're, skinny and don't do anything. Like my dad's a good example. My dad is, I think like 6'3", 6'2". He has never worked out an ounce in his life ever. I don't think he's ever lifted a weight. I've never seen him lift a weight before in his entire life. Doesn't run, doesn't do any cardio, doesn't walk, eats Oreos and whole milk. And the guy is as skinny as you can possibly imagine. I mean, like, the guy's just shredded, and I'm like, listen, I'm pissed at you for one, for not having those genes. Okay. So, two, everybody's body types and, experiences and what we're struggling with is very different. And I think, you kind of need that mindset shift of other people's perspectives, that how did they flip that switch? Right. And it is a switch that kind of flips in your brain, and you kind of rewire how your brain actually works to get you to a certain state that allows you to be consistent, that allows you to have discipline, that allows you to change your habits, because, our brains fight our habits, right? Our new habits. Our brains fight changes in our lifestyle. And I was actually watching a video. It was a doctor talking about what happens when we lose weight. And it's interesting because you'd actually done a video today about weight loss and kind of starving yourself, right? And it's interesting because our bodies, when we lose weight, it freaks out regardless of the weight. Let's just say you're 300 pounds and you drop 10 pounds. Your body freaks out. Your body says, why am I losing weight? I'm going to die. Even though if you lose 100 pounds, you're perfectly fine. But your body doesn't know that. Your body says, well, if I keep dropping 10 pounds all the time, eventually I will die. And, your body is so smart in many ways, yet doesn't really have a regulator because it doesn't understand that we have access to copious amounts of food that we never have to worry about starving again in our lives. And I know that's not the case across the board. There are folks that starve and are hungry and things like that. But in general, most people do not have to worry about consumption of food ever again. And our bodies don't know that, though. So they try to pack on as much weight as possible. Same thing, conversely, by the way, happens when you're not eating enough calories. Your body says, well, shit, I'm going to die. So I have to slow down substantially. I'm going to slow down my movements. I'm not going to move my arms as much. I'm going to make myself feel lethargic. I'm going to give myself headaches so that I don't move as much as I need to be. I'm going to make myself feel like total crap in hell so that, I don't expunge as much energy. Therefore, people that don't get results on not eating, it's because your body's shutting itself down. So there has to be a balance of slight amount of deficit, right? And the ability to still feel good as you're going and doing this. And I think people forget that you have to eat when you want to lose weight. I see it all the time. I'll see people they'll send me a direct message like, hey, I just started with Ben and I'm eating twice the amount of food that I did before and I want to lose weight. I'm like, trust the process.
You're in the work. DMs being like, no, he's fucking me. Like, don't do it.
There was times where, I've said in the podcast before, I'm like, Ben doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's crazy. And somehow it works. Right? I'm like Ben is crazy. Like, don't listen to anything he says, but it works.
The one I had a call with Kev Cody earlier on, and I'm going to use this analogy. So he was talking about, he was actually in Ohio driving through, but he was looking at the range.
Son of a bitch and stop and say hi to me. What the hell?
Maybe he's on his way right now. No, the range, he drives an electric car, and the range was like something like 280 miles, and it was 230 miles to the station. He said he could see it as he started to speed up on the motorway. He could see it like drop and drop and drop and drop. So he had to do a few things to sort of start to conserve energy. And essentially, that is what your body will do if it doesn't have enough fuel. Like, same sort of idea. So if you think about it in that way, to sort of go over the video for anybody who didn't see it, number one, nobody's commented on my beard except for Kyle. I had a call with him earlier on. Number two, essentially what I try and do with clients is get you to a place where you can eat quote unquote as much food as you can get away with and still move towards your goal. There is a fine line between creating a slight deficit and still enjoying your training, be able to function throughout the day, being able to hold a conversation, be able to have enough energy to work, be a parent, be a partner, do your sessions, intensity in your workouts, all that stuff. And creating too much of a deficit where everything in life is shit and difficult. I would rather be in the first one that I can still get myself done, because there's nothing worse than going into a workout and actually not saying everybody enjoys it, but like it's sucking in it being really difficult and you're not progressing and it being frustrating more than anything else. Whereas if you can give yourself slightly more calories and create more intensity in that workout in a roundabout way, you'll get more from the workouts overall. So essentially that is what I was alluding to in the video. As a side note on what you were saying about everybody's journey and back to the email list, like it's not necessarily just what works for different people, but I think one thing that I'm going to try and get across is everybody will absorb and everybody will give information in a different way. So some people will post YouTube videos, some people will post studies, some people will post recipes and whatever it is. Like it'll be absorbed in a different way. So hopefully there will be something, hopefully there'll be something for everybody in it. But I think it'll be cool for everybody to sort of share their experience along the way.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think experience. I was actually talking to who was I talking to yesterday? I was talking to one of my buddies, Scott, that runs our application security team here at Trusted Tech yesterday, just about presenting and how there's a lot of folks that struggle with imposter syndrome in our industry, and I fully understand it. But what's interesting is I never really compared myself to other people because I'm not that person, right? And what I mean by that is there are people that I view that have more experience than I do. There are people that I view that have better knowledge in certain areas than I do, a lot of areas than I do, that are a lot smarter than I am, that can pick things up much quicker, might be more physically fit than I am, might be better in certain areas than I am. But at the end of the day, like our experiences and what we do, we're good at what we do in our lives, right? And because I don't have that experience doesn't mean that I don't have, the mental capacity or the smarts to be able to be that person. It's just different experiences that we apply to. And don't get me wrong, there's people that are just absolutely brilliant and just crazy smart, and that's fine. There's people that are freaks of nature when it comes to athletics, and that are in the NBA and NFL, and just have amazing physiques and things like that too. But at the end of the day, we were talking about presenting, and why this came up was, when I present, I don't really get nervous about who's in the audience or the people that I'm presenting to, because I'm presenting on something that I learned that I hope other people will find valuable, right? And they might not, but it was something that was valuable to me to present. For me, when I go and I present something, I would look at it as, would I be entertained, or would I want to be in that presentation in the first place? And what I'm trying to home in on this is that, our experiences change vastly throughout our lives. We might be earlier in our careers when we decide to go through a fitness journey. You had mentioned that text message about Gavin. Could you imagine if we had, the knowledge we had then now? I mean, for crying out loud, I'd be deadlifting over 1,000 pounds, right? It would be absolutely incredible, but we don't. But everybody starts in different journeys. Everybody has different, ways of interpreting things. Might be going through harder patches, softer patches, easier patches. But one thing that's consistent across all of the other board is that switch that turns on. And I think, when you look at, people that don't take that plunge, it's because they have probably failed so many times before. They don't have the confidence in themselves to be successful. And you see this a lot, probably, I'm sure, on the training side, where you have individuals that won't make the investment in coming with you as a trainer because they really don't believe in themselves of being successful in a program because they failed so many times. Or, you'd mentioned feeling like crud all the time, because they're cutting so many calories. They probably like, well, I'm gonna have to starve myself for the next, 2 years. And do I really want to do that? Nah, I'm good. I'm just gonna go do something else. I don't want to deal with that. So I think, the knowledge around people's experiences that this actually is possible for anybody. And regardless of what situation you're in or health ailments you have, there are things that you can do to curb yourself to be a better person of you. And it's interesting because I've been explaining this to Gavin around the mind-body muscle connection, right? And how your mind controls the body, but you have to develop that relationship. And it's, these kids look at me because Colin's one of his friends, and he looks at me and he's like, "You sound like you're an idiot," basically. The look that they give me, like, what are you talking to your muscles? Like, "Hey, what's up, dude? Pec flex," and I'm like, "Well, can you do this?" And I start, going like my pecs, and he's like, "Well, I can't do that." I'm like, "Yeah, because you haven't talked to your muscles yet," And I'm like, "So it's true.
You haven't built a quality relationship yet." They're probably looking like,
right.
"What the?" He's probably going home to his parents being like, "What the?"
Valentine's Day, you got to recognize like biceps. I'm so proud of you right now. You gotta motivate them, right? So. But everybody listens to this podcast is like, I'm done listening to this.
Yeah, fuck you guys. It's gone too far.
It's gone too far. But the connection that you have with your body and your mind are synergistic in every single way. And we only use a certain percentage of our mind power to do that. And, it's interesting because as you start to have that switch and as you start to develop that relationship with your body, it's interesting because, I always get, I'll get people in BC families that make it fun to get a new piece of equipment, but I'm like, well, how do I, attack my muscle in a different way now? Because I'm used to doing it this way and I want to try a different way. Right. But it's that excitement that you get around success and progress once that mind switches happen. But so many people get into I just don't want to go to the gym. I just don't want to go, but it eventually changes and there's like a day. It's an actual day. I wish I would have wrote it down the day that it switched to me. I'm like, I cannot wait to take my pre-workout. I cannot wait to go to the gym, and I can't wait to get some gains. Right? Like, there's an actual mind shift, monumental mind change that happens. Your mind's like, all right, fine, you're not going to get out of this. All right, let's go. Well, let's do it. Like go. And that's the cool part about this is like when you hit that switch, you're all in.
So not to like spoiler alert, I guess. So as you said, we're going to have Kira on, who Kira spoke at Matt's events. He does a lot of mindset stuff within his group. She's super cool, really knowledgeable. She will tell her whole story, and we can absolutely ask her any questions that we feel like will be beneficial. But whenever we were having a conversation earlier today, she was like she asked me to give as much information about the people that I work with as I possibly could to find out what would be the most beneficial. And the piece that you're talking about there, essentially, and you and I have spoken about it before, is it's about making it a part of your identity. So whenever you shift from I'm going to the gym because I'm trying to lose weight to I go to the gym because I am a person who trains and goes to the gym, like that is the shift. And like I said, we had a really cool conversation, and we talked about imposter syndrome because it's been mentioned before time and time again in the BC fam chat, and I would imagine that there's a lot of it sort of within the industry. But the piece that she broke it down to is like that again is sense of identity. So it's not working on how do we get around imposter syndrome. It's how do we work on really solidifying your identity as a person and giving you the confidence to know that you can go and do these things, whether it is starting a business, starting a fitness journey, speaking in front of people, like whatever it is. It literally all boils down to your identity. So she's going to come on the podcast. She's going to do a number of things for me and for anybody who's listening, and for clients on a more specific level. And the reason that we chose the podcast first, in order of, I guess, full transparency, I feel like it would be more beneficial to get her to speak and tell her story for anybody who's listening. So then when we go to do a little bit more specific, there will already be a bit of a buy-in from clients. Because again, I'll put this conversation back to you. The first time that we brought Sean on to do the breathwork, you thought I'd fucking absolutely lost my mind until you actually did it and understood it. If we had done it the other way around and brought Sean on first, and you could tell the story and you actually knew a bit about it, rather than maybe like, there's a guy coming on to breathe with us for 45 minutes on the call. So I think if we bring her on the podcast, she's going to come on, tell her story. We'll talk a little bit around mindset. We'll be able to talk a little bit around identity shift, the industry and stuff like that. And then she's going to come and do a lot of stuff we'll do a live call with her, and then we'll do some trainings for the mainframe more specifically. So I think that's going to be really cool. She's a really cool person.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that and meeting her and going through that, because I think mindset is something that we all struggle with, right? Whether it's consistency, whether it's in nutrition, in everything we do really ties back to our motivation to do something, right? Our discipline around something, our consistency to do something, and changing our way of thinking to get to a desired result. And I want to play a video really quick because, well, you're not going to see the video. You're going to hear the video, so it's going to be sound. But it resonated with me because, we are in a society that wants things now. And, that's why these diets are structured to get immediate results by starving or cleansing or whatever it ends up being, or these diets that, put you in heavily restricted modes. And, the thing that you have to think about is, do you believe that if you do the right things consistently, things will change? And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, the belief and the mindset you have to have. Like if I show up to the gym and I put in hard work every single time I go to the gym, will I see a difference down the road? And the answer to that should be yes. If I put the work in, I should see the difference down the road, right? So I'm going to play this really quick because I thought it kind of resonated with me and I liked it a lot. All right, here we go.
A lot of times you have to learn to perform without motivation. You have to learn to perform without purpose. And that's what people think. They think I need to have this motivation to work out, to study, to be better. So if they don't have it, they just don't fucking do it. And that's where you fail.
See, and I think that's not actually the right video, to believe it or not, but this is a different video that I had there, but it's okay. But it makes the same sense.
That one still makes sense. I think there's so again, like I had a call recently, and the guy on the call, he was like, I just struggle with motivation. And then he told me about time and time again about how he had lost 20 pounds and then put it back on, and lost 20 pounds and put it back on. I was like, well, in those instances, you are motivated to do the thing. Like, it's not motivation that you struggle with. It's you expect that motivation is the thing that will carry you through. What you then struggle with, or what I feel like you do struggle with, is actually being able to be consistent about it. So it's easy to be motivated when things are shit, or when you feel like you're worst, or when you feel like you're rock bottom. Like, it's easy to be like, do you know what? Fuck this. I need to make change. And you go and do it. You're motivated to do it because you're in a bad spot. Whereas you lose 20 pounds, you're like, yeah, actually, do you know what? This is okay. Like, I feel fine. Like, I feel all right. You're not as motivated because you're not in as bad as a predicament or as bad as a space as you were. So you're like, I'm not going to the gym today, or you know what? I'll just go and eat 10 cheeseburgers or whatever the fuck it is. It's not about continue being motivated. It's about, the thing that will start you off is the motivation, but the thing that will carry you through is discipline and consistency.
Yeah. And that discipline and consistency is, so important.
I would like to say, though, there's a lot of people who were on my side after that podcast. I don't know if you've purposely
on my side too.
No, you have purposely been, like, you are very active in all the channels on Discord, except for the one that people are talking about being on my side versus your side in the podcast discussion. So I don't know whether you purposely.
I actually started a new Discord server that is just for us.
I'm not in. So that was actually quite good, because it did open a bit of a conversation, and it was good. And actually, I feel like I'll need to actually quote him, because Brandon put this the best in his check-in. What he said was, discipline is an input and consistency is an output. I think that is probably the best way to look at it, because you and I were probably arguing back and forward about which one you need and whatever. And essentially, you do need both, and they do go hand in hand. One is an input and one is an output. And I thought that was a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously we
you agree that I'm right. Okay, good, perfect.
No, I don't agree you're right. But, we joke and jest about, certain things. But, at the end of the day, I mean, you do have to have the discipline.
I'm going to get us t-shirts printed. Yours is going to say discipline, and mine's going to say consistency. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're fine. Just you want this podcast again. But
sorry, I've had too many caffeines today.
Well, and it's like the one thing I will say about that is the look that the look at yourself and how you feel. It's okay. I'll tell you another story. I'm sorry to roast, but I was talking to a friend, and when I see this friend, the friend is in amazing physical shape, right? Great muscle structure, great definition of. Is
it Cardi B? Is it the cardboard colored of me that you have?
great shoulder definitions and everything else. But as I become friends with this person, they confided in me that they don't like how they look. They notice the imperfections of their body. Maybe they have a little bit too much on the love handles, or maybe they have too much acne, or maybe they have too much of this. And it's interesting because we judge ourselves so much harder than anybody else does. Period. When I had a friend tell me, Dave, his name's Dave, tell me that when I was Big Dave, overweight, he's like, I never looked at you as like overweight. I just looked at you as like a big guy, right? That's just kind of how my impression of you was. Whereas myself, I saw myself as, being morbidly obese, right? And you look back at the pictures and you're like, well, I was morbidly obese, but the way people look at you is very different. So, we judge ourselves much harder. And the question that you need to realize is that you're not going to be this, perfect Instagram model that has, is sub 5% body fat, that has starved themselves and feel like total shit to get to a certain physique. Then they put Photoshop on top of that, to get you to a certain desired results. Like, do what makes you feel good. And as long as you're seeing progress and consistency, you should be happy with that, right? Don't ever compare yourself to others, and know that these gains are small. They take time. And it's a painstaking process, but it's worth it. It's something that you're going to live longer. You're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to be more confident. I mean, I'm going to vacation extremely excited about going on the beach, and being able to take my shirt off and not being embarrassed.
I think the point that I was actually going to bring up in that earlier, it's people will often train for that. Like, people will train, I'm going on holiday, have 12 weeks, 10 weeks, 15 weeks, whatever it is. Like, I want to be beach ready. And it's like, if you get yourself to the point like you have, that you're always ready, there's no stress in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, even whenever you said you were like, oh, I'd like to be lean for going to the beach. I'm like, okay, right. Well, I'm looking at your photos. You are. We've ticked that off. Like, we've done it. Do you know what I mean? You're there. There's no stress in it. It's about always being ready. Now, I realize that that's very far away for a lot of people. But I think the thing about it is, and I guess the tweet that I put up the other day, the results that you expect to get in 2 to 3 months will probably take you 1 to 2 years as a realistic time frame. And to go back to what you said about, we want things right away. Again, shout out Jeff Bezos for that one. But, in terms of like diets and promising, you can lose 10 pounds in a week and all this other shit, like, yes, okay, you can, but it's not sustainable. Like, these things do take time. And you can imagine me in the fucking fitness industry where everybody's trying to sell you, get shredded in 6 weeks. And I'm like, okay, let's do a 12-month program. People are probably going, what the fuck? But for me, I want to go through the know that you have the tools to do it long beyond our coaching relationship. And I think that it always comes back to, for me, like, your physique is something that you can't take shortcuts on. It's something that you can't buy, or someone, like, you can't get it from someone else. It's something that takes hard work. So for me, whenever I see a good physique, whether it's somebody who is the biggest fucking dude in the gym, like that guy that we saw in Old School Iron, the massive guy with the orange tank top on, like, I do never want to be that size, but I respect what he had to do to get there. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is,
it's crazy. For
me, there's a lot of respect that goes into it, because I know the work that it takes. So understand that, like, when you go on this
years and
years,
probably 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Those are the types of situations where, you look at people and you just have respect for that. Right.
Yeah.
But that's not where I want to be. And I know I realized in my 40s, there's going to be a point where I plateau, right? And there's going to be a point to where I won't be able to get bigger, get stronger, but, I want to continue to get stronger, but there's a certain point where, like, hey, I'm running, 5-minute miles, and I should be really proud and happy of that, right? Will I continue to push myself? Sure. Will I continue to try to better myself and to, fight myself every day in my mind? Of course. But it doesn't mean because I'm aging that I have to give up, that I notice myself declining. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to always, try to get stronger, get better, get faster, beat the person next to me. That's going to be me when I'm 70 years old. There's going to be a dude that's 40 years old that, looks like me. I'm going to beat his ass, like, that's just how it's going to work. Like, I want to be that, that's me.
It's funny because I was watching Diary of a CEO podcast, obviously the only other podcast I listen to. And it was Tony Hawk was on it. And it was interesting to hear him sort of speak, like, my knowledge of Tony Hawk is playing the PlayStation game, I guess what was probably 25 years ago, which makes me feel old. But he was talking about, like, his sort of journey in skateboarding. I realize that it's completely different, but, whenever he was like 16, 17, he had that, like, oh my God, he's really good for his age type thing. And then he sort of went through the 20s where he was really good. 30s, it was kind of like, should I still be doing this? Should I still be skateboarding? 40s, the same sort of idea, like, he was still skateboarding, doing all these crazy tricks, like, really pushing boundaries. And now he's in his 50s and he's back to the, he's really good for his age type thing. But, for me, it was a case of, like, if you continue to look after yourself and do the craft and do the thing, like, you can still push limits and you can still do the thing you love, as long as you sort of look after your body. Like, to be, I think he's 53 and, doing those insane tricks, like putting your body through that, like, you don't see that in a lot of people. So it's a case of, are you willing to put the work in to make sure that you can sort of have the longevity in your body of whatever, if it's skateboarding, if it's fucking skydiving, whatever your thing is.
Yep. And at the end of the day, it's just about proving yourself. I did want to play the actual video, or the
Is that why you've been quiet? You've been Googling to get the actual video?
I've been trying to get the one, you download the sound and then it's a different sound, but that was a good one too. But this one is also probably way better. So let's hear it out.
If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. If you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. So clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit. Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, you commit yourself to an active service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day, you can skip a day or two. But if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency.
Huh? Look at that.
It is. So that's Simon Sinek. Again, was listening to him on the Diary of a CEO podcast. He's a super interesting guy, and actually a lot of stuff that he was talking about in the most recent episode, he was talking about his ADD and how he manages. Like it was very, very, very fascinating. And I think I said this the other day, I booked tickets to go and see him do almost like a live podcast with Stephen in London. I think that'll be a very cool conversation. But exactly that. I have two schools of thought on that. I can't remember. I think it was a podcast that you sent me or listened to or whatever else. But there's almost like this part of going to the gym that whenever you train and you have the pump, it gives you like a preview of what you can look like. So that to me is why it's like so addictive. Do you know what I mean? Like whenever you're finished training, you take your top off, and you're like, fuck yeah. And for 30 minutes, you feel jacked and you're massive. And then 30 minutes later, you've shrunk back down. But that gives you a preview of the results that you potentially could have. Now, you don't get them overnight. And yes, it is a case of, there isn't a huge change day by day or week by week. But month by month, year by year, like you will notice these massive changes. And it's like you almost have to go into it with blind faith in terms of it's like, I'm going to do this thing. And if I continue to do it, I will get a result. Which is, I guess it's an interesting mindset or thought process to have, but I can guarantee you that if you are consistent in the things you do, you will get the result that you desire eventually.
100%. And, it's it's not to say that the thing that you're doing today is the thing you're going to do tomorrow to get those results. It's a progress, it's a journey, it's learning things. It's what works, what doesn't work. It's, making tweaks and changes or routines or keeping yourself interested in doing things differently, different ways. Some people click with different types of exercises and workouts. Some people prefer just doing cardio all the time. Well, fine, that's great. Some people like lifting heavy things. Some people like doing more volume. Great. But doing the consistency part is the most important piece here, because without that, you're not going to be able to get the results that you need. And, it's funny because like there'll be days, especially on like, I'll notice this very much on my one rest day, which is I'll be like, screw this lifting shit. Like I'm just done with it. Like I'm just not going to do it anymore. Like I just feel so good right now that I don't have to work out. I'm just going to go eat some Taco Bell. I don't eat Taco Bell, but I'm going to do this. I'm just going to chill. Right. And it's funny because like, that's my brain knows that's the day I'm not supposed to work out. Like I just need that chill day. And then it's funny because like Sunday night, I'm like, I wonder if I could take my pre-workout now and work out right now. It's just like at night it switches back on. You're like, let's go, let's roll. Like, pre-workout, I'm ready to go. My body's fine. Let's do it. So it's crazy how our minds work. But I mean, you could definitely talk yourself out of it if you're not paying attention.
But I think the thing that always comes back to me and whenever I'm having days where I'm like, I just don't want to train. I can't, it's freezing outside. I know the gym's going to be cold. It's 20 minutes away. I have all this work to do. Like, I just don't fucking want to do it. I'm like, I am so privileged to be in a position that I can go and do it. I would be being a dick if I didn't go and do it, because I am fortunate enough that I can do it. And there potentially will be a day that I cannot do it, and all I will want to do is go and train, and I can't. So that's the sort of thought process that I have on the days that I feel like I don't want to train. It's like I'm in a privileged position that I can train. I have access to a gym. I have a $300 Cybex leg extension in my office here that I can just do leg extensions whenever I want to. But the days that I don't want to go and train, that's the thing that gets me to go. I'm like, there will be a day that I want to and I can't. And that, I guess, is a perspective thing more than anything else.
Yep. Well, I think we're good for this week. Man, it flew by faster than I ever remember it. But, hope everybody had a good listen this week. We'll be back next week. Yes. Well, we won't be recording next week, but you'll see this the following week. So I will be on vacation in St. Thomas with some sun and beach and Mai Tais, not hitting my macro counts. So I'm going to try to get more protein as much as possible. But I actually already selected a gym that's nearby. Already called them, got everything done. I have a big supplements bin. I have two of them because I can't fit it all in one. So I got the supplements bin ready to go. I'm all in on the vacation, so I cannot wait. But I'm going to train just like I would. There's no Orange Theory, unfortunately, so I am going to take a break on cardio. And just focus on the lifting side of the house. But I am looking forward to next week and getting.
We're gonna have a lot to catch up on, because I'll have been in Florida and you'll have been on holiday. I mean, that's going to be an action-packed episode.
It is. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you again next week. Same time, same place. And appreciate listening to us, and share us if you find us valuable. Thanks all.
Overnight.